You're driving home from work, replaying a conversation in your head, and suddenly you hear yourself say out loud, "Why did I say it like that? I should have just said what I meant." Or you're trying to figure out a problem and you mutter, "Okay, let's think about this differently." And then someone walks in and you freeze and you say, I was thinking out loud." We've all been there, and most of us have felt at least a little embarrassed by it. But here's what the science actually says. Talking to yourself isn't a quirk to be ashamed of. It isn't a sign that you're scatterbrained or odd. Psychology suggests it's one of the clearest signals of a highly developed, deeply aware mind. And the people who do it tend to share 5 very specific traits that most people simply don't have. So if your inner monologue occasionally finds its way out into the open, stay with me. Because this video isn't just going to make you feel better about it. It's going to help you understand why it's actually one of your greatest strengths. Trait number 1. You are a genuinely conscious, self-aware thinker. Most people have thoughts running through their minds constantly, but not everyone is aware of those thoughts as they happen. There's a concept in psychology called metacognition, thinking about your own thinking. It's the ability to step back from your own mental process and observe it, guide it, and evaluate it in real time. Research shows that people who engage in self-talk tend to score higher in this kind of self-awareness. When you narrate your actions or your feelings out loud, you're not just thinking, you're monitoring your own thought process. You're creating a second layer of consciousness that most people never access. Psychologist Ethan Kross found that deliberate self-talk, especially using your own name, significantly improves emotional regulation and clear thinking under stress. So the next time you hear yourself say, "Okay, just calm down and focus," know that you're doing something genuinely sophisticated. Trait number 2, you process your emotions rather than bury them. A lot of emotional pain in people's lives doesn't come from the emotions themselves. It comes from emotions that were never processed, pushed down, ignored, never given a name or a voice. People who talk to themselves tend to do something different. When you say out loud, "I'm really frustrated right now, and I need to figure out why," you are translating an internal experience into language, and that process is incredibly powerful. Psychology shows that putting feelings into words, a process researchers call affect labeling, actually reduces the intensity of those emotions. A study from UCLA found that verbally naming an emotion decreased activity in the brain's alarm center, making the feelings smaller and more manageable. So when you're processing something difficult and you find yourself talking through it quietly, you're not being dramatic. You're being emotionally intelligent in one of the most direct ways possible. Trait number 3, you have a deep internal drive to push yourself forward. Research in performance psychology consistently shows that motivational self-talk improves both endurance and results. Athletes who verbally encouraged themselves during difficult moments outperformed those who stayed silent. And this applies far beyond sport. When you whisper, "Keep going" on a hard day, or tell yourself, "You've handled worse than this," before something scary, you are using your own voice as one of the most powerful motivational tools that exists. But beneath this trait is something even more significant. People who instinctively coach themselves through difficulty tend to have what psychologists call an internal locus of control. They genuinely believe that their effort, their choices, and their attitude have real power over their outcomes. This belief is one of the strongest predictors of resilience, persistence, and long-term success that psychology has ever identified. You are not just talking to yourself. You are reinforcing the belief that you are capable, and that is everything. Trait number 4, you think in depth and crave real clarity. Have you ever noticed that talking through a problem out loud makes it suddenly clearer? There's a precise psychological reason for that. Thoughts in your head can be fragmented, circular, and hard to pin down. The moment you speak them, you're forced to impose structure. You have to find the words. You have to put things in order. And in doing that, you often discover what you actually think, sometimes for the first time. Research on the generation effect shows that information we produce ourselves is encoded in memory far more deeply than information we simply receive. People who talk through their plans remember them better and follow through more consistently. People who talk to themselves are typically deep processors. They're not satisfied with a surface understanding of something. They need to turn things over, examine them, and make sure the picture is complete before moving on. The world might call that overthinking. Psychology calls it thorough, and thorough people tend to get things right. Trait number 5, you have a rich, creative, and imaginative inner world. This is perhaps the most fascinating connection of all. Psychology shows that highly creative individuals tend to have an unusually active default mode network, the part of the brain associated with imagination, daydreaming, internal storytelling, and making unexpected connections between ideas. And self-talk is one of the clearest external signs that this network is alive and working. When you narrate your own experience, play out hypothetical conversations, or work through creative ideas by speaking them into the air, you are engaging in a form of internal storytelling. Writers read their dialogue aloud. Scientists verbalize their hypotheses. And you do it too, perhaps without realizing how deeply creative that impulse actually is. There's also this. When you rehearse a difficult conversation before having it, working through both sides, anticipating responses, adjusting your approach, you are exercising a sophisticated form of empathy and perspective taking that research consistently links to stronger emotional intelligence and deeper, more meaningful relationships. The conversations you have with yourself in private make you better when you show up for others. Here's what I want you to hold on to after this. If you talk to yourself, the psychology says you are someone who thinks with depth and awareness. You process what you feel instead of running from it. You believe in your own ability to push through hard things. You seek genuine clarity rather than settling for the surface. And you carry a creative, imaginative inner life that is richer than most people will ever develop. None of that is strange. All of that is rare. The next time you catch yourself thinking out loud in the car, at your desk, in the quiet of your own home, don't cringe. That voice is not a sign that something is off. It's a sign that you are deeply, thoughtfully, beautifully paying attention to your own life, and that matters more than you know. If this resonated with you, subscribe. Every week, we explore the psychology behind the quiet, the deep, and the misunderstood parts of being human. There's a whole community here that thinks deeply and feels fully, and they're waiting for you. We'll see you in the next one.